Hi everybody, Suzanne Lyons here. Welcome back. This is tip number 2 of our, I almost said 10 tip series. This time it's 12 tip series on film funding. How do you raise money for your film? It's a big deal for all of us, and so many of us around the planet now have the access with the with the digital cameras, with the internet, with our iPhones, for heaven's sakes. We've got the wherewithal to make a movie. The question is, how do we raise the money to do so? All right? And I promised you at tip number 1 that I would have a guest with me, a dear friend from many, many years actually, Liz Fies, and she is a writer, producer, and director, and she's made movies from everything from the no budget, up to the, $130,000, $150,000. So it's really, really, really interesting. I think she's got some good stories to share about how do we offer some sort of a bonus to entice people to come on board, to write that check and come on board as our, investors. It's not just, oh, I'm making this great movie, will you give me money? What are some things that we can do? And I've got a few things to share with you, but I brought Liz in because the first movie, I think, after you did one of my courses years ago called the Indie Film Producing course, she said, hey, I'm going to use this format and go out and raise the money and make a movie. So I just want to find out, what is it that you did that enticed and excited people to want to write you a check?
I just went right down the line with my notes from your class.
Thank you. I love that.
And by the way, I have to say, I was actually the first person from your class to make a movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So,
congratulations.
I know. I was always very proud of that.
Oh, good. Awesome.
But yeah, one of the things that you talked about in class was how to bring investors into the fun and the glamour of Hollywood, and how oftentimes that's more of a selling point than really talking about money and returns and all of that.
Yeah, and especially at this budget level too. We're not talking 100 million here. We're talking under the 200,000 or under the 500,000 or whatever. Very good.
And we sold quite a few units, but for us the units were $2,000. So it's not, it's not like, if these people get the money back, it's not that exciting. What was exciting though, for people that I didn't even expect it to be exciting to, was the offer of getting an executive producer credit.
Brilliant.
That's like on the DVD. It's on the poster. It's on IMDb, which some people were very excited that weren't in the industry.
Yeah.
Where I was surprised that how many people know what IMDb is, and that was a big bragging right.
Wow.
I remember when I first got my first credit on IMDb, I opened a champagne bottle of something. Oh, I think it was Dom. We went for it. But I didn't expect that, my friend who's a big real estate tycoon who, would know what that meant, and he was so thrilled. I mean, it went up on his Facebook page. And,
my God.
Yeah. And
that's so cool.
The third day, we had one of the people was in town. We actually shot in Northern California, so it was kind of, our investors were all over. But he was in town. He came and visited the set. He was incredibly impressed. Actually ended up buying another unit after that.
Really?
And we put him in the movie, and we gave him it's not an extra role. We really made him like a featured person and gave him the name that he wanted for his credit.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's
and then he invested us again on our next project.
Really?
So he was very, very excited and enrolled in it, and really enjoyed meeting the stars and being in it himself and picking his own character name. And he actually came by during post as well, and we showed him. He got to sit in on an editing session, which is what he still talks about the most to this day. That impressed him. He'd known me for years as his friend Liz Fies, and when he saw me working with editors and really talking the talk, and I think also saw me on set directing, it changed our relationship a bit too. He was really he really felt like he was a part of the movie.
Wow.
And again, our relationship is still awesome to this day, and he's always interested in any project I'm doing and wants to be part of it.
This is fantastic.
So, and that was all from generosity. Because he came onto set, we rearranged, the way we were going to shoot a scene, and we said, "Why don't you go in there, and we're going to have the lead character interact with you."
Nice.
And
it's so neat. I mean, there's something so amazing about standing in generosity and graciousness and abundance and all that. And I think what happens with us in the entertainment industry is we get so busy kind of doing our work as director, or in my case producer, in your case producer, writer, whatever, that we forget that those people who are investing in our films, you know, this is a prestigious, like you said, industry.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason that people want to come play with us is we got the best playground in the world. You know, so let's keep that in mind. It's not just about, you know, the whole creative element and the focusing in on that, although that's very important. But it's also how can we stand in this generosity, and what would make it fun for those people to come play with us? You know, maybe something like an executive producer credit, which we might not even think about, means the world to them. And then all the other playful things that you talked about. So that's really brilliant that you took that on and made that available, and we're an opening for that for people.
Well, you really cracked up in my mind to that in class when you talked about how with one of the movies, you and Kate, every time you were on the phone, you would tell whoever you were talking to, even if you were paying a phone bill, about your film.
That's right. We shared that at tip number 1, actually.
Oh, you did? Oh, well, see, we're in sync.
That's so cool.
And I remember that, you know, 7 years later after taking our class, you know, because everybody loves movies. Everybody thinks they're a film critic. Everybody secretly thinks that if they were here at the right time, they would have become a film star.
Exactly.
You know, and it doesn't matter if they're a dentist or they're, you know, a real estate tycoon or if they live in Ohio. Everybody really secretly wants to be a part of the movies.
It's so true.
Yeah. So if you can include them in any way, that means the world to people.
Yeah, it's very cool. This is so cool. And one of the things, actually going back to what Kate and I had done, my film partner at the time, Kate Robbins, and we had so much fun making these movies. What we did is we actually gave specific credits for the number of units that you bought. By units, we mean the number of shares, you know, that you were selling as part of your LLC PPM private placement memorandum package. And for example, if you bought 3, 4, or 5 units at the time, you got like an executive producer credit on a shared card. But if you bought 6 or more units, you know, then you would get an executive producer credit on a single card. It means your name is standing alone in the front row credits and on the poster and on the DVD. And that got people super excited. Within a week, we sold like 2 sets of 6s, you know, just like that, you know. Yeah. So that's what, you know, Liz was referring to there. So that's like but it's standing in that whole, you know, gracious, you know, space of what can I offer that's going to bring people into my playground and want to play with me and invest in my film, which is what this whole series is all about, is film funding. And a lot of it is really where you're standing. You know, it's what's your stand for the whole thing. You know, it's not just the number of phone calls you're making, even though I said tip number would call everybody, but it's also kind of who are you being in the matter in terms of being gracious and abundant and, you know, having people come play with you and being playful, even though, because, you know, yes, you're being creative, but yes, you're wearing the business hat and you're inviting people into your business in a sense. So what does that take? So this was brilliant. I thank you so much, Liz, for joining us today.
Absolutely.
This was so much fun. Oh, this is so great. And thanks for bringing your DVD and showing us that.
COMMUNE, Netflix, and Amazon.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you so much. All right, everybody, that's it. And join me next Friday when I will be doing tip number 3 of this 12-tip series on funding your feature film. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.